Now, as part of efforts to contain the spread of the pandemic and improve treatment, President Muhammadu Buhari has approved the setting up of new oxygen production plants in 38 locations across the country. This is coming on the heels of the alarm raised by the Nigerian Medical Association on the need for government to establish more oxygen plants in view of the increasing demand for oxygen by patients. Concerns have continued to mount over the daily toll of new COVID-19 infections, with many patients in dire need of oxygen, gasping for air to stay alive, and hospitals overwhelmed by patients needing intensive care. This is part of what we'll be discussing right now, and I have with me a public health specialist, Dr. Tuyi Mebawondu. It's nice to have you join me, and Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, Mike. Good
to see you.
Yeah.
Now, the second wave, from the reports we're hearing, is going quite more viral and faster than the first wave. And if you see the numbers, we're having increased number of infections now, and also when it comes to casualties. Talk to us basically how things are out there. You are there on the field in the hospitals. Share with us how different this wave is.
Well, quite challenging, but again, we're rising to this challenge. As far back as the middle of December, I had warned here on this station that the health system is already collapsing. I mean, there's no hope as the second wave was coming up. Yeah. Now, let us appreciate one thing. This virus is a respiratory virus. Now, I mean, the respiratory system, the lung, is ground zero of the activity of the virus. So the virus can affect every part of the body, but the lung is ground zero of the virus. Why do we need oxygen to treat COVID, unlike maybe some other diseases? Now, what happens is that the virus enters, when the virus passes, it goes into the nasal cavity, it goes to the throat. From there, it enters a system called angiotensin converting enzyme system, enter the cells, multiply it, and then from there spread, go to the air sacs. The air sacs are responsible for the exchange of oxygen. At the air sacs, the body identifies it as a strange fellow and raise immune system. Call the soldiers, say, listen, we have an enemy here, we need to take care of it. The massive amount of the soldier that the body needs to raise creates what we call a storm, a hyperimmune reaction that leads to dead cells, leads to accumulation of fluid, and leads to clogging of those air sacs that should help oxygen exchange. When this happens, the oxygen level starts falling gradually in the system. Once the oxygen level falls and the person is not getting oxygen, because oxygen is essential for the metabolism of everything in the body. Without oxygen, you can't metabolize anything. You can't really make energy in the human body. So when this oxygen level falls, what now happens is that the only way you can now deliver oxygen to the person is that you give oxygen to this person
artificially,
to increase the availability of oxygen at the alveolar system. You can give it through nasal catheter. You can give it through some what we call positive pressure ventilation, or you can even actually take over the breathing system when this thing becomes worse, and then allow the oxygen to be delivered to the system or the person recovers. So that is the basis, because what will not happen at that level when the virus enters the system is to cause leakages, destruction of the basic cellular mechanisms, and that makes it so important. And in such a way that oxygen is essential. It's a very important component of every basic hospital. Very important component. You cannot then start saying you are running an hospital without having even at least a minimum concentrator to deliver oxygen in case of emergency. That could be the really gap you have to save the person. So, well, Nigeria, the whole of Africa, even the whole of Africa, less than 4,000 critical emergency units, the whole of Africa, Nigeria is having barely about 400 or less than that. How do you now respond to a situation where a virus that has 3% fatality? What that means is that if I have 1 million people with the virus, 30,000 of them will be very, very sick. Where is the oxygen? Where is the emergency center? Where are the human resources? Now, these are the things we should have put in our thinking in designing health system. That should we have a situation whereby we need this critical thing? And of course, closely aligned with oxygen is the fact that the personal protective equipment must be available and easily distributed to people in such a way that, yes, and in fact, we have to update the protocol for usage of those personal protective equipment in such a way that your doctors, your health workers do not pick the virus, because they are key. They are very key in your control of the pandemic and even any epidemic as that case may be.
I like the analogy you have made. It has simplified it in my head. I'm trying to see this simple, you've simplified it in such a way that I'm seeing the mechanism between, how air goes in and how, it helps the system to function and all of that. And the absence of it can lead to disaster for the person involved. Now, the president, we hear, has given the order or approval for the production of oxygen cylinder plants across the country. I wonder how soon that can translate, and I wonder how far that can go in the picture you're trying to paint.
Well, yes, let's comment that. I mean, that means that at least the reality we're facing, we are responding to it. But we shouldn't be firefighter. We shouldn't be somebody, putting on fire at every point in time. I've said earlier, as far back as last year, more than a year ago, that, we need to, first of all, have a conceptualization of our preparedness for emergencies. And in fact, one of the things that we mentioned was setting fund apart for future epidemic preparedness, so that we don't have to run helter-skelter when we're faced with this kind of thing. It will come. Don't let us deceive ourselves. As long as human beings keep behaving like this way, as long as they keep neglecting the natural forces of nature, rapid and rabid consumption of natural resources and without consideration to the natural laws,
there'll be consequences.
The consequences will come. So now, how will I prepare for the consequences? Now it's hard to mean that the president is ensuring that, okay, go and produce. Because again, I've actually known about 2 or 3 medical gas factories in the whole of this nation. The biggest was around Oshodi there, the one that we know. Apart from that, we don't know any. If we're going to have a lot of those things, because normally oxygen should be piped around every emergency hospital. It's not just even you wheeling cylinder in. It should be a tap that anybody near each patient's bed, that when they need oxygen by mass, you can deliver it. That should be the. So again, once when the federal government has approved the production of these oxygen, oxygen machine or factory, let us ensure delivery. You can produce, and let us ensure maintenance. Delivery that oxygen, maintaining those plants, and of course, directing it, rational use of that becomes very important. So as far as we're concerned now, we're waiting for those plants to take off. It's going to take time. It's not going to be immediate.
Of course.
But what we now need to do is to focus on our non-pharmaceutical intervention. Guys, your mask, hand washing, social distancing, avoid crowd. Don't discard completely. Please discard completely all this your magical thinking. It's not my portion. I'm protected by this water. That protects me. My pastor has told me this thing. My mom has given me this tira. It's not going to obey simple, natural law.
No, but would you blame the people? Because sometimes when you hear the role that ethnicity and religion plays in our lives as Africans, and when you listen to your priest, tell you certain things and you believe so much in him, and then he's telling you that God has told him that this is how this is going to be, and because I've prayed for you, everything, or maybe even political leaders who are saying we don't believe in this, and you follow these have a great impact on the lives of the people, isn't it?
It's quite painful, excruciatingly painful. Mike, the doubters are always with us. Let's paraphrase the word of Jesus. The doubters are always with us. I don't care the color of your skin. I don't care your level of education. I don't care where you stay. Okay, most of those anti-vaxxers, those people that created conspiracy theory around COVID-19, were actually from this so-called developed world. So I have looked at human situation and found out that whatever you do, the doubters are with us. Now, the role of a government, the role of society, the role of you and I is to actually push the right narratives in the public space. We can't allow the doubters. We can't allow the negative people to take over the space. And unfortunately, in a country like Nigeria, everybody is an expert on everything. You see a governor who does not know a jack about nothing, standing and decrying a proper scientific thinking, and you ask him to adduce his evidence. No evidence. It's just wishful and funny thinking. And then, unfortunately, he has such a lot of followership who so believe in him because they are comfortable with the negative narration. So we need to grab back that space and direct the narration appropriately. We also see, a pastor or a imam or whoever who feels that they want to kill all of them because of what. And if you look at the temperature growth of Nigeria, from about 50 million in the 50s, we're now 200 million. If they want to kill you, why are you not dying? Even the infant mortality that we're shouting about, it's been dropping.
Yeah.
Maternal mortality has been dropping. So now, if somebody says that they want to kill you, you must be able to bring data. Where is the evidence that they want to kill me? Of course, the fertility rate in Nigeria is growing. At least 4-5 per woman. That's a lot. So if you say that
it was almost the same kind of a conspiracy theory when the HIV vaccine for HIV came in.
Indeed.
Even the days of measles, the days of polio, we had all of this, but we are still growing.
The doubters are always with us. So don't bother yourself by them so much. But we must not allow them to have the upper hand in the narration to send proper information, to educate people, to win them from the attachments of these people that just want to take over their mind and direct it as they wish.
Now, let's talk about the issue of the vaccines generally. Now, there is the talk about the concerns as to the distribution chain, whether Nigeria has the backbone or the infrastructure on how to distribute it. In fact, there was a report about a week ago that about 100,000 doses might lose their efficacy because of the failures or the inadequacies in the storage and the distribution and all of that. What do you make of that?
I think again, it's always the huge politics when a new technology or a new drug comes out to tackle an epidemic or a worldwide disease. There's always the politics of medicine. There's politics of the distribution. Okay. Nigeria will not be exempt from such politics, as we can see now. 200 million people. With this large number of infection, you are bringing 100,000 vaccines. Most likely it's going to be 2-dose vaccines. And with that case, you mean 50,000 people are going to get vaccinated. Will that achieve your 70% herd immunity that can protect you appropriately? Of course, no, it won't. Well, COVAX, WHO, Gavi, EPI, all of them are pushing forward to say that, okay, how do we take this vaccine to the world? At the end of the day, it requires money. Like we always said here, vaccine will not heal anybody. It will not reduce the virus. It's vaccination. So moving from vaccine to vaccination involves a lot of things. Yes, of course, the integrity of that vaccine, the monitoring is key. Then storage, moving the vaccine from where you're storing it to the least person who may not have the kind of money, or even the kind of, just to transport themselves to the center, because these are critical issues. Some don't even have money to transport themselves to the center where the vaccine is going to be administered. And then, indeed, when this epidemic hits, it hits the poor worse, and it hits them most because they are all living in a precarious situation. So the global initiative is to look at, listen, how well can this vaccine get to the poorest of the people, one? How can we then ensure equitable, accessible distribution of this vaccine? These are critical issues, and you need human resources. Doctors are dying from COVID already. You need nurses. They are all running to UK. And then we're not, even yesterday, a trained public health lady, public health expert, she said most of her mates had to leave the country. She had to wait. A consultant was selling land all over Nigeria, trying to sell land in Lagos, haven't trained to become a consultant public health physician, selling land. So you see our own case is such a funny thing that, okay, we seem not to be interested in thoroughly delivering health outcomes for our people. Because the key today, if I choose to bring all the health resources to this place becomes an hospital. Because what makes an hospital is not the building.
It's not the building.
It's the human resources component that will deliver the quality and the kind of treatment you so desire. So until we start improving the human resources component of a health system, we've not done anything. I don't care the multiple story you build.
Now, some Nigerians have the concern around the compatibility of the vaccine to the African people, sub-Saharan African people. Some say that when such kind of vaccine come, there has to be the test as to whether it is compatible with Africans because they have a different racial makeup and all of that. Should we assume that all of those kind of concerns would have been taken care of before shipping it to countries like Nigeria and other sub-Saharan African countries?
We have regulatory agencies. NAFDAC is there. They have to actually look at it. We have scientists also that can look at these things.
Okay.
But generally, the basic operation of the human body are very, very similar. But of course, we can have tiny changes, at some level. That's why you see that some people, they take the vaccines, they react to it. Some don't react to it. But
like we hear from Norway that some people have died after taking...
But what we have seen, essentially, is that, yes, you have, now we're going to close to 100 million, more than 90 million people worldwide with this virus, okay? Now, they must have given, for now, they must have given close to 10 million doses of those vaccines worldwide, okay? And then if you are seeing 23, 30, 40 people reacting to it, yes, it's still a very good product. Now, I appreciate human brain, the Zeigarnik effect in human brain. Human brain tend to, if you show a human brain a circle that is 9/10 complete, human brain will focus on that 1/10 that's not complete. They will neglect the 9/10 that is complete. It's a survival mechanism to say that, listen, my brain should be focused on solving problems. But again, we should not that should not dominate the discussion, and then we overlook the whole 9/10 that is complete. So that is the kind of thing that is happening here. Yes, even I can tell you that, even water we drink can, it can go a wrong way in some people's body. But it's not a ground to say that, okay, don't drink water again. There will be peculiarity, but the peculiarity is not that significant that to say that, listen, Africa, Nigerians are different, these are different. But it then points to the fact that we have different centers, the Virology Research Institute, the NIMA, doing research everywhere. So again, government should be able to encourage stimulation of good brain, reward good thinking, reward hard work, reward truthfulness. I mean, it's very key. If in any of our lifestyle, in our living, that we must interrogate and address these critical issues if we want to go forward. So that in a way, we can be able to actually have our own response. While enjoying the global response also, we have our own response. So as far as the vaccine is concerned now, what we need to do is to figure out, can we move from vaccine to vaccination?
Very critical and very key there. Thank you so much, Dr. Tui Mebaundu, for the insight in all of this that you've given us. We really appreciate you, and we thank you for what you do out there in hospitals and also in the society. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Right.